He said, maybe America should pick a movie where the studio doesn't hate half of its audience. So there's a hashtag out there, hashtag Alita Challenge. Now, why that? I talked about this about 2.5 weeks ago. I talked about the film Alita, which did extremely poorly. Alita had not just a female lead, but a female robot lead. And I said, if you don't understand what that is about, there's a subcurrent here that is far more dangerous, I think, than the obvious one about feminism here. And I'd say dangerous in the sense that they want the two sexes to war against each other. That they want to make men like Nick Fury look passive, look stupid, be dominated by women. That is one problem, creating this animosity between different sexes, just as they've done between different races. But there's also a transhumanism subtext to these superhero films. Welcome back. We're going to talk about the Marvel Matriarchy. We're going to marvel at that, and we're going to marvel at transhumanism that is being sold to you. I imagine it's pretty blatant and pretty obvious, the Matriarchy. We've actually got writers now who play some of these superheroes. They're not real superheroes, they just play them in Hollywood. But they are lecturing us on the fact that we have to have women controlling the society. That's the only way that we're going to be able to move forward. And they are very, very obvious in what they are pushing at the movies. But we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about the less obvious agenda behind all of this as well. Because today we have the release of a new movie, Captain Marvel. And it's amazing what they are doing with this, how it is being protected. We're talking about different protected classes in social media. Well, you've got not only protected classes and certain types of people that are protected and others that are attacked with immunity, but you also have protected movies. Take a look at this screenshot here, guys. Zoom in on this. This is Flickster. And as you can see here, when I look at the movies that are coming out this week, the first one that shows up is Captain Marvel. And you notice that there's absolutely nothing there. They say no score yet. And yet, when you look at all the rest of these films that are coming out, Apollo 11, a Chinese foreign film, and on, you can see that they have ratings there of critics. They have ratings of people, whether they want to see it or not, what they think about this. They've always done that on Flickster. Now they're saying, and Rotten Tomatoes, now they're saying, oh, we're not going to do that for Captain Marvel. That tells you right there something. There's always a warning sign when they hide the critical reviews in advance. But we've got a critical review coming up as to what is in that. Before we do, real quickly, I want to tell you about some of the products that we sell at InfoWarsStore.com, because as Robert Barnes and I were just saying, we set up something here that was not dependent on sponsors to try to be independent of boycott so that we could speak freely and tell you what we think. You don't have to agree with us. I mean, we're going to give you our honest analysis. You're free to agree or disagree. We're not going to try to control that, but they are trying to control it. And so we set up InfoWarsStore.com to sell products directly to you. You can make up your mind. You can take control of your health. You still have that opportunity. We've got Republicans who are trying to take away that freedom of choice, as well as Democrats trying to mandate vaccines and other things. But you still can choose as to what you're going to do to try to help your health, to provide for your health and for your family's health. Some of the products that we've got right now on sale, we've got DNA Force Plus, which was out of stock. We've now got that back in stock, and it is 33% off. And that is a huge dollar savings because that's a very expensive product to produce. It has a very rare and unusual ingredient, PQQ, which helps to protect the telomeres. We've talked about that many times on your DNA. That's something that is a biological clock. It is something that gradually degrades over a period of time. That helps to protect it from degrading. And it's got a lot of other ingredients. Take a look at what we have at InfoWarsStore.com. Do your own research. We're confident that you're going to see the value of these different ingredients here, and I'm sure that you're going to see the value as you take these supplements. That's 33% off. It's a big dollar savings. We also have, for a limited time, we have 50% off of InfoWars Select storable food. This is made in America. It is non-GMO. You can store it for up to 25 years, even if you don't need it for an emergency, a natural emergency, or a man-made emergency. Even if you don't need it, it can help you to to budget your food, to protect you against food price increases. I'm sure that food is going to increase sometime in the next 25 years. Right now, you can get it at 50% off the regular price at InfoWarsStore.com. And finally, we have Bodies you can get at 50% off. It is the ultimate turmeric formula. It's got a lot of natural ingredients, but turmeric, for example, especially when you pair it with black pepper and other natural ingredients, it really helps with joint support, with mobility support. It helps to fight inflammation, not just in your joints either. So take a look at Bodies. It is now 50% off at InfoWarsStore.com. And again, everything that you buy there helps to support free speech as well as your health. All right, so Marvel is coming up, as I said. They're very desperate to have a big opening weekend. So desperate, as a matter of fact, that they have pulled Stan Lee back from the dead to promote this movie. Now, Stan Lee does have a cameo appearance in this that they had filmed before he died. He died last November. But they were not going to let his Twitter account go to waste. As RT points out, it's got 3.6 million followers. So while they've typically used this Twitter account to have respectful retrospections of his life and work, they went full on to hawk this movie. That's how concerned they are. Captain Marvel, says Stan Lee from the dead, Captain Marvel landed in Hollywood this past Monday for the movie's premiere. Of course, you will not read any of those reviews, will you? They have been embargoed. Read about it more in the evening. Read about the evening more below, and they have a tweet there where they talk about its movie premiere. Some of the people on Twitter came back and said, I hope that when I'm dead, my corporate owners don't do a weekend at Bernie's with my corpse to shill their products. Another one said, I love you, Stan, but I'm unfollowing you because they are necromancing your account and your goodwill in order to market this film. It's cool when you went full salesman on your Stan Lee brand when you were alive, but now it's just a corporation putting strings on a corpse and making it dance around. You deserve better. Another one, picture of Stan Lee, don't make me come down there. Well, what is it that people are concerned about with Captain Marvel? Why is the studio concerned that people aren't going to go? It may have something to do with the outspoken feminism that is being bandied about by the star of the film, Brie Larson. She has proclaimed the film to be about intersectional feminism. Intersectional feminism. I guess that is the newest social justice league warrior insanity. I don't know what that is. I don't really care what that is. If you want to know what intersectional feminism is, go see the film. I won't be going. If you don't want that sold to your kids, maybe you won't take them either. She said it's 2019, and what 2019 is about, really, is intersectional feminism. There you go. I didn't know that, what 2019 is about. Anyway, she says, they said some critics, these are some of the critical reviews that you're not allowed to see on Rotten Tomatoes or Flickster or whatever. Captain Marvel, some of them said, is a mundane film marked by unimaginative plotting, a generic superhero film. We're getting a lot of those lately. I think we've kind of reached peak genre with this. A film that does not approach the ranks of top-tier Marvel movies, said another one. Many have called it a grim film where no one seems to be having much fun, especially in the previews. You look at the previews. Look at how Samuel L. Jackson and the character he plays, Nick Fury, who doesn't really show too much fury, doesn't show too much backbone either. He looks very, very calm, not furious, and he looks totally dominated by this woman. He's like, it's a retrospect. So I guess this is where he's starting to get his backbone. He doesn't have one yet. James Woods, I think, summarized it best. He said, maybe America should pick a movie where the studio doesn't hate half of its audience. So there's a hashtag out there, hashtag Alita Challenge. Now, why that? I talked about this about 2.5 weeks ago. I talked about the film Alita, which did extremely poorly. Alita had not just a female lead, but a female robot lead. And I said, if you don't understand what that is about, there's a subcurrent here that is far more dangerous, I think, than the obvious one about feminism here. And I'd say dangerous in the sense that they want the two sexes to war against each other. They don't want to make men like Nick Fury look passive, look stupid, be dominated by women. That is one problem, you know, creating this animosity between different sexes, just as they've done between different races. But there's also a transhumanism subtext to these superhero films. And, you know, when you look at what is really being told to us, I think we have to understand, and I think it's helpful to go back to what people have talked about in terms of mythology. I'll tell you what Joseph Campbell said, and then I'll tell you what C.S. Lewis said about mythology from a Christian perspective. Joseph Campbell, and you probably remember this, NPR did a long series about the power of myth. One of the things that he said was mythology provides a cultural framework for society to educate the young. Well, where are children getting this cultural framework of mythology? Well, they're getting it in the schools. They're getting it especially from Hollywood. It is a worldview of secular humanism. That, quite frankly, folks, if you don't understand it, that is the religion of the schools. And I'll have more on this when we come back. I'm going to tell you the difference between secular humanist myths and the difference between Christian myths. And it's a very significant difference. But they want you to look at their superheroes as the answer to life and death. You know, humanism by itself doesn't offer any hope. All right, welcome back. Let's talk about the pulp fiction of our time. And of course, the dominant genre right now, of course, are superhero movies. Not Westerns like when I was growing up. When I was growing up, we had heroes with true grit, but they were human heroes. Now we have transhumanist heroes. As I said before we went to break, secular humanism is the religion that is being taught in schools, but it is a religion without any hope. They don't offer any hope, but transhumanism does. Transhumanism offers you the hope of eternal life. It offers you the hope of becoming like God. And it can be done any number of ways. I mean, look at all the different origin stories that we've got. You know, it can be genetic modification. It can be some kind of a magic incantation. It can be something that is done using technology, technological enhancement. When you go back and look at the film Alita, you know, we've got this robot that's very complex that kind of plays into the fantasy of eternal life that Ray Kurzweil has embraced. And, you know, hopefully if we can build robots like that, we can transfer our consciousness or whatever it is that makes us what we are. They can't quite define that. You know, I had Zoltan Isvan of the Transhumanist Party come in, and I said, okay, you want to talk about transhumanism, how you're going to live forever, how you're going to transfer yourself into a robot and live forever? What is it that you're going to be transferring? Are you simply going to making a copy of yourself, or are you going to be transferred in that? What are you? You have a physical component, obviously, but what are you beyond physical? Is it just a bunch of electrical impulses? Or is there a spirit? And they don't really have an answer for that, but they are providing you with a mythology for that. As I said, Joseph Campbell, when he talks about the power of myth, he said mythology provides a cultural framework for society to educate the young. And what are we telling them? We're telling them that with genetic modification, with robotics, with transference and so forth, they can live forever. They can become godlike. I think that's really what we are telling them. He also said that it provides a means of coping with passage from life to death, or better yet, never dying, having eternal life, as Ray Kurzweil points out. Let me give you an alternative perspective, a Christian perspective. You know, C.S. Lewis said that Christianity is both myth and fact. Now, by that, he doesn't mean that it's made up. He says that it is a true myth. It is God's myth, whereas the others are men's myth. And that is the essence of what we are looking at as Christians. That is the hope. That is what is not being taught to our children. That is what is not being given as the framework for our society by many of us. Maybe we don't even have that kind of a framework today because we don't even know what the meaning of life is. We can't even, when we look at the abortion debate, we can't even pinpoint when life begins or define it, right? I think we can, but I mean, we're struggling to say, well, it's a heartbeat or it's a brain activity. Certainly those are signs of life. And we can look at that and say we're going to protect anybody that has a sign of life. But it's going to be a philosophical understanding of where that life comes from or what it ultimately consists of. Who defines that? You know, when we talk about living eternally, C.S. Lewis had something else to say. He said, he has never talked, and neither have you, to a mere mortal. He said, no matter who you've talked to, he said, everyone is going to live everyone is going to exist forever. Question is, in what state? He said, some of the people that you see on the street as you're walking along, he says, eventually they're going to be transformed into creatures that are so glorious that you would be tempted to fall down and worship them. Others are going to be turned into creatures so hideous that you could not even bear to look at them. And so we have this choice before us: immortal horrors or everlasting splendor. That is the understanding of what life is, what eternal life is for Christians. We are being sold a phony version, and they're selling this version right now because of the control that they want to exercise. When you look at the neural lace brain, we look at this little girl with this cap on to read her mind, join the hive mind, join 5G. It is a system of total control. They have something in this world that they want to force upon you, and that is the philosophy that's behind it. That is what's so dangerous and subtle.
The scientists at InfoWars Life have created a powerful formula for inflammatory support and joint support. Discover the power of ancient medicine with Bodies. Bodies contains one of the most potent forms of turmeric available. Turmeric has been used for thousands of years and is one of the most studied herbals today. It is well known in traditional medicine for its soothing properties. Our pure turmeric extract plus piperine from black pepper makes for optimal absorption to help boost and support your flexibility, mobility, joint function, immune system, and so much more. Regular turmeric root from the store only contains 1 to 5% of active ingredients, but our turmeric root extract contains over 95% of the active ingredients. Bodies combines turmeric with organic herbs such as spearmint, sage, lemon balm, and thyme to work synergistically for full body support. Try Bodies today at InfoWarsLife.com or call us at 188-253-3139.